This, ladies and gentlemen, is the second generation boosted board. When you first look at it, it looks very similar to the original boosted board. But when you take a closer look, a lot has changed. And that becomes especially apparent when you ride the thing. Let's get into this. My two big gripes with the original boosted board models are that they are not water resistant and the battery is not user replaceable. The new boosted board addresses both of those concerns. The electronics are now water resistant and the battery is interchangeable, but more on that in a bit. Sanjay Dastur, the co-founder and CEO of Boosted, told me that the entirety of the board, in terms of its electronics, has been reworked. The drivetrain is improved, the motor casing is new, and the motors themselves are slightly larger in diameter. And notice how clean the design is now. There's just one cable that connects the board to the motor, unlike the original. And everything back here is modular and easier to swap out than the original boosted board. The wheels now have a green core in the center, and they're slightly bigger at 80 millimeters versus the 75s that are on V1. Boosted 2's power cord is different, as well as the charging port. And that annoying rubber cover has been redesigned. Thank goodness. And it's super easy to get in there now. That's what she said. And now there's a battery indicator on the board itself in addition to just being on the controller. Speaking of the controller, the boot sequence is new and the lights are slightly different. And when you change modes, the beeps are faster. Another design change, Boosted added 2 proprietary high-power ports. 20 times USB in terms of wattage. There's one on the front and one on the rear of the board. Accessible only by removing the trucks though. But think about the accessory possibilities. The obvious headlights and taillights, sure, but what about blinkers maybe, or a phone charger, or who knows, a horn? I've always been a fan of the boosted board scream, the sound the motors make when you rev. And the new model sounds incredible. All of this amounts to a much tighter feeling ride. I've been riding this second gen Dual Plus for about a week now. Accelerating and braking feel more stable and smooth, and those bigger wheels give the board a more supportive and sticky to the ground feel.
Oh, that's good.
It's kind of hard to explain in words, but riders coming from a first-gen board will immediately notice a difference in the way this thing rides. But one key difference between the two models is coasting. V2 can coast way better than V1 can, even when the safety trigger is engaged. If you currently own a V1 boosted board, you'll know that when you engage the safety switch, the board slows down, and the regen kicks in, creating like a slight drag, as in it brakes. Boosted 2, though, even with the trigger engaged, it glides, as if it's not being engaged at all. Another thing you really have to ride to understand. I pit the second generation boosted board against my friend Evan, who is riding my boosted V1, and we're both about 160 pounds. Notice how V2 climbs the acceleration curve. It hits top speed faster than the original boosted board. And that thing isn't slow at all.
The Bluetooth connectivity in V2 is way stronger than V1. Riders that live in cities like New York are familiar with dead zones, areas that your board disconnects from the controller. I have yet to disconnect with V2.
If you currently own a boosted board, you probably don't need a second generation boosted board. Unless, of course, you want that user-replaceable battery, but remember, the extended pack isn't shipping until 2017. Let's talk about that user-replaceable battery for a second. It took me like a minute 20 to get all the screws off. It's not the worst, but it's also not the best. So if you're looking to invest in an electric longboard and you have $1,000 to like $1,600 to spend, I can assure you that the new boosted board is the best electric longboard money can buy. Yeah, I know, it is very expensive, but Boosted has exceptional customer service. And of course, the board is unbeatable in terms of its performance and durability. And don't forget, aside from the utility factor of it being a legitimate transportation vehicle, I ride mine to and from work every single day here in New York City, it's hella fun to ride. And please, wear a helmet.